I'm going to assign you something. And it's going to be fun. But I want you, I've said this before, but I want you to do this. I want you to start looking at all the TV and the films that you watch differently. I want you to look for three things. Two things. Just two. I want you to look for extreme emotional behavior, crying, rage, screaming, wacky stuff. Loud, but with purpose. And physical behavior. Went and saw The Joker last night. Coming out of the movie, my girlfriend, who's not an actor, she'd been in class a couple times and seen what we do, but she goes, wow, I had no idea that, a walk could change somebody's whole persona. And I looked at her and I went, what? And she said, yeah. She said, that last scene, did you see the way he walked and how he held himself and the way he did? It was like he became a different person. What I've been telling you. Character is how you do what you do. And it starts with a walk and a talk. Acting is physical. I know in some regards I'm preaching to the choir, but it keeps me up at night. I wonder, how much of what I tell you do you believe? Who believes that acting is physical, or who isn't, put it this way, who isn't quite sure that I'm right about it? Anybody?
I think you're partially right.
You think I'm partially right? Okay, good. We're halfway there. I will guarantee you one, I know a couple things. I don't know everything, but I know a couple things. Every week you guys bring me shit that I gotta figure out. So I know I don't know everything, but I know one thing, acting is physical. And you'll come around, or you'll fail. Acting is physical. Acting is being at the emotional extreme and physical extreme, out of control but in command. And if you can't do it, if there is any holdback or restriction in your willingness or ability to portray a human emotion or a human character in crisis, you are not going to work. You'll be number 2 guy or girl on X-Files or some other one-liner, maybe based on your look, but you want to act, you want to do the real deal, you've got to get dirty. Watch a 2-year-old that doesn't like something. Ah! Well, okay, sometimes we get that way. And believe me, that movie last night was an example of it. It's physical. And if you start watching it, you're going to see The Rookie, for fuck's sake. Emotional and physical behavior. There's crying scenes, there's rage scenes, there's physical stuff going on. You cannot, I challenge you to bring me an example of any film and TV show that doesn't exhibit it. Even the bad ones. And they're looking for actors who can do it and are willing. There are stories, myriad stories about auditions where actors took chances physically and emotionally. Who is the girl, beautiful blonde girl? God, I wish I could remember her name. She also did a movie where she played this big fat girl who killed guys.
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Monster. Yeah.
Charlize Theron's first audition when she got this movie, Mulholland.
Are
Huh?
you talking about Mulholland Drive?
Mulholland Drive. She literally had a scene where she crawled on the damn floor in a dying scene. Fully committed. And got the part. There used to be a show called Hill Street Blues that was the top show on TV. Everybody was watching it. I wanted to get in on that show so bad, but I was just in town and there was no fucking way I was even going to get a smell of that room. But I did, later on, do a movie with one of the guys that played one of the regulars. He played this detective called Mad Dog, and he was undercover Vice and all this stuff, and he growled at people. Literally growled. If he didn't like you, he'd go like that, and fucking everybody said, damn, he's a little bit not wired all that cool, right? So we shot a scene together, and we were on break. They were setting up, and everybody else was cleared out. And of course, what do the actors do when you're on downtime? You gravitate back to the food, right? Craft services, right? So he's there snarfing something up, and I'm starting to walk in the room, and his back's to me, and I say, I gotta know if it's true. And without turning around, he said, oh, it's true. And he said, I'll tell you something else. And he turned around, and he said, Grant Tinker, who was the head of NBC, said that he didn't think I could do this. I didn't have enough ass to do this role. And my agent got me an audition in front. This is the head of the fucking network, NBC. Grant Tinker was married to Mary Tyler Moore for a while, last I heard. And he said, during my audition, because this is the rumor that I'd heard, I jumped up on his fucking desk, grabbed him by the tie, and he said, I'll tell you something else. I scared him. I saw it in his eyes. He said, I scared him. Just for an instant. He knew I wasn't going to kill him, but he, it was like that. And he got the part. Now, I don't recommend going up to that sweetheart up on the 3rd floor and growling at her, but if it calls for it, yeah, you got to commit. I keep telling you the same things all the time, and I'm wondering, is my voice dead? Am I crying in the wilderness? But I know this stuff to be true, and I want to get it across to you, because if you get it up here and in here, it's going to change you. Because you're going to work differently. You're going to see things differently. You're going to approach your work differently. Acting's visceral, and it's nasty, and it's sexy, and it's hot, and it's all of that stuff. And it's in you. It's in you. You put layers on top of it, because out there we can't do that, right? That's crazy time. But in here and on set, we expect it. Once you start your audition, those people in that room are no longer anything other than an audience. I keep telling you this, and I'm the only one in this fucking town that has the right to say this. I've gone to network. I auditioned thousands of actors. I'm in that room for 3.5 years. I saw every situation that you can possibly imagine. I know what I'm talking about. I don't know about them. I'm not saying they don't, but I know what I'm talking about, and I did it in LA at the very highest level. One of my producers won an Academy Award for The Godfather. I mean, we were working at network level. The VP of casting of Columbia Pictures and all of the accoutrement that went along with it. I've seen it. And they just become this. They want to see you and make you transport them. They want to make them feel something. And they can tell. Just like we all can tell if it's real or if it's not or if it means something. We don't even intellectualize it. We feel it. Go to Bohemian Rhapsody and tell me you're not squirming in your seat, or Elton John's movie and tell me you're not moving and you're living and dying with this stuff. Why? Because they're fabulous and they know how to do this shit that I'm trying to teach you. I don't have anything to prove. I know I can do it. I want you to do it. And that warm-up, commit. Get out of here. I can see you thinking. I can see it. Because I did it. I don't say do as I say do as I do. I went through it, I understand it, but commit. You are among friends. This is your safe place. What you see here, what you hear here, what you do here, when you leave here, leave it here. Or tell everybody, whichever way you want. But the point of it is you're safe. And the point of it is that tell me what else we do. This is it. This is what they're hiring. Your voice, your body, your emotional inner life. I think there's so much confusion because there's always that little outlier that you hear about that got a big gig without working for it, or got without an acting class, or this is the way to do it, or it's magic beads, or voodoo acting, or whatever the hell it is. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this. I don't know any of that, but I know this. This works. If you have control over this, if you can take that script and make it come to life and make me believe you're that person, you're going to get work. Good work. Not shitty little, one-liners. You're going to get the guest roles, the lead roles. You're going to be in the running. So commit. The good news about all that is that you can have what you want. But there is a cost. There's a wonderful line from the play Inherit the Wind that was turned into a movie with Spencer Tracy. And he's talking to a stacked jury that is, they're as fundamentalist as they can possibly be. It's the Scopes trial where they're saying that Darwin's theory, is evil and you can't teach it, and they fired this teacher because he was trying to teach Darwin's theory. And he gives this speech, and he said, "You can fly. Man can fly, but the clouds will smell of gasoline." And that phrase stayed with me for so long because it tells me that there's a cost for everything. There's a cost for everything. That is a comfort to me. Why? Because if there's a cost for everything, that means there's a price for everything. And if I know the price, I can determine in my own mind whether I'm willing to pay it. Now that sounds like a simple concept, but I remember I was in an apartment and my roommate and I had a nuclear meltdown, and he left, and I couldn't afford the rent. And I'm on the hook for it because I signed the lease. And I was doing fitness training to support my acting habit, and one of my guys was a lawyer, and he laughed at me and he says, "Mike," he says, "you go to your property manager and you just tell her a nice sweet story, and then you, bless you." He said, "then you just say, you know what, how about I give you $300 and we'll settle it, cash." I went, "What?" "That works?" He says, "Oh yeah, it'll work." And it did. I got out of the lease, and that was it. And she had $300, and I went, okay. So that situation, that uncomfortable situation that was giving me sleepless nights, had a price, $300. Fade in, fade out. I'm buying and selling real estate in Minneapolis. Don't ask. And this idiot is suing me. I don't even want to get into it because it's a long story. It's kind of funny. I'll tell you later. But I'm in a lawyer's office. We're doing negotiations, and there's a mediator that will come in and he'll talk to me, and then he'll go to the other party and try to get us to make a deal. And he comes into me the first, and I said, first of all, I said, "You're going to go into that room, and he's going to Obi-Wan Kenobi you." And I went, "What do you mean?" He says he's going to basically tell you all of these stories. He said, you and I are getting along. He said, "You're going to come out of there thinking I am the biggest asshole, most nastiest human being that you have ever met in your entire life, and you're going to love him." And he looked at me, and I went, "No, trust me." Okay. About an hour and a half later, he comes in. "Well, you're right. You're the biggest asshole I ever met in my life." Because the guy, he was bulletproof. You would tell him, "You signed this document, and then you didn't do what you were saying you're going to do." "No, I didn't. Everything's fine." I'm losing my mind, right? Fade in, fade out. Why am I telling you this? Well, it got down to a number. It was a big number, bigger than I wanted to pay. And my lawyer said, "Michael, what's it worth to put your head in a pillow tonight, go to sleep, and never think about this again?" Wow. Okay. And you know what? That money, a lot of money, that money, I never missed it. And I did. I slept that night, and I never thought about it again until I'm talking to you. But that was the cost. What's it going to cost for you to have the career you want? You don't have to answer this. How many of you, I want you to think about this. How many of you spent 1 hour this week working on your acting? 1 hour. Don't have to answer. How many of you spent 2? How many of you spent 3? How many of you spent 4? How many of you spent 5? How many of you spent, did I lose anybody yet? How many of you spent 6? I'll keep going. You know where you dropped off. I'm learning guitar. I'm learning jazz guitar lead, right? I practice about 1.5 hours to 2 hours a day. I love it. I can't wait to get up in the morning and get at it. My teacher must put 8 hours a day in minimum. Guess who's better? This kid, I knew him since he was born, and when he was about yay big, we went over one Thanksgiving, and oh, little Elhan's got a song to play on his keyboard, da 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 da, and I thought, oh, how fucking cute. And then 2 years later, he's down in Cuba and he's playing with a band, and look at the cute little kid playing the band. Now he's a savant. He can hear one note that's out of place. No, that's not right. He knows he's phenomenal. Why? When I was at Ohio State University, I was alone and I was lonely, and first time I was away from home, I spent a lot more time in the student union shooting pool than studying. Guess what I was better at? And there was a guy named Marshall Kassoff from Cleveland, Ohio. Biggest asshole I ever met. But boy, could that dude shoot 9-ball. Marshall was the guy that went downtown Columbus and took on whoever for as much money as they wanted to put on the game. And I went up to him as a sycophant and I said, oh, Marshall, you're so good. Tell me, how can I get so good? He said, it's easy. All you gotta do is spend 8 hours a fucking day in a pool hall. And I went, ding. Yeah. Repetition is the mother of any skill. Why? Because we're physical. That's how we learn. We repeat. We do it. What do you want? What price are you willing to pay for what you want? I guarantee you an hour a week isn't enough, or is an hour a day, nor is 2 hours a day. It's not enough. So what do you want? If you're clear on what you want, the path is pretty clear, okay? Put in the time. I know I'm preaching to the choir to a certain extent, but I was thinking about this, and I have a handout for you, because one of the things that I've been remiss in, and I'll take responsibility for this, is I'm assuming that when I go over the rules that you guys understand the rules. Well, now we're going to get an understanding because I have these handouts, and you're going to sign them, and then you're going to return them to me. Why? Because at least then I know you'll have read them and you'll have signed them, and we won't have any argument about that. Okay? And they're important. But one of the things it says in there is, I'm about excellence. I want you to be the best you can possibly be. And if you strive for excellence, that has a cost. You have to be prepared to pay it. And it's okay if you don't want to, but at least be honest with yourself and say, okay, if I want to be excellent, then I have to do this. And if I'm not doing this, guess what? Step up. Yes? Because the good news, again, is you can have what you want, but there is a price. I was willing to pay it. Absolutely, joyfully, as much as I possibly could. And I want you to be willing to pay it as well. And then I'll do my part. Thanks for listening.